Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So does everyone here know their team's goal?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Like we're talking if it's GCI or if it's units, do you guys know what your team GCI goal is?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. If you don't, I have put in these handouts and allocation form. You guys can use this personally. So whatever you learn from this budget for your team, you can take this. If there's any agents with us today, you can take this form and use it for personal and for the team. Okay. So it's a little and your expenses year round. So as an agent, you would put in all that stuff. As an assistant and administrator, if you know the personal expenses that your agent has, you could put it there. Okay. And then your business comes next. So your yearly amounts. And I'm getting somewhere with this. I promise you we're going to get to the budget. We just need to figure out the guidelines to get to the budget. Okay. So then it's your yearly amounts. So your staff salary. And for anyone who's looking to get started on doing the budget for your team or the P&L for your team, this is probably one of the best forms that you can do. Not only is it going to make okay. With that, I'll start writing out percent your numbers. When you get to this form, how are you going to find out where your lead gen amount comes from? Your occupancy, which is your rent.
From your files, or from your mega, if they're currently paying them.
So it'll come from the bank accounts. That's right. So you're going to pull credit cards and the bank accounts, and you can ask. And it's perfect, guys. It's February. So you can go back to your Rainmaker, mega agent, whatever you want to call them, and say, can I have access to the bank account for all of January? You're going to start fresh. Okay. So it's the perfect time. So you're going to start fresh. Ask them if you can have access to the bank account and credit cards for all the month of January, because you're going to go in there and that's going to tell you how much went out in salary, how much they spent on lead gen. And lead gen, that's another category too. We're going to have to, we will be breaking it down what is in a lead gen category so we can all be on the same page. I'm going to get us through this and then we're going to go through and break everything down if that's cool with you guys. Okay. So once you have all those amounts in, you got your grand total. And sorry, I'm also answering questions too. And that's going to tell you how your minimum units for survival are going to go. So you're going to take your average net commission and the number of closings you need for survival. Okay. The next page is a big one. And
So,
I always,
sorry, can I stop you for a second?
you sure can.
Can you go off of this from last year's numbers to allocate for this year?
You sure can.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll get to that later. So if anyone wants to if anyone wants to say, can I get all of last year's credit card bills and bank statements, then you can do that as well.
Okay.
Or little secret for those of us that have accountants, you can go right to the accountant and ask him for a P&L monthly breakdown of 2019. Because then they're going to spit out, and if the accountant's doing exactly what you've asked of them, you'll be able to see your lead gen budget, your marketing budget, your salary, and your office supplies. So the key things for us as admins, if your accountant is doing it exactly the way you kind of, or that your agent has asked them to, all that stuff will be right there in front of you. So it'll make your job a little bit easier. So the maximum units for a life worth living, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Your unit goal for the year, additional closings needed to hit that goal. So we always take 10%, right? Because there's a 10% fallout. So say if your unit goal for the year is 200. Shannon, who just interrupted you?
Cam.
Hold on a sec, guys. We're going to text Cam.
He even knew too.
I'm just going to let Cam know that we're on a call.
Thank you, Val.
Apparently I lost Cam's number. I'll call him later. So then you'll go through your allocation form. We're going to jump to the last page for a minute, and then we're going to jump back to the list of what's in your salaries, what's in your lead gen columns, and all that stuff. Okay, guys? So I just want to get through the main form for you guys. So allocation of remaining dollars. This is key as an operations manager, an executive, anyone on an ops team, or an agent. Because let's say an agent has a goal where they want to do bonuses to their admins, or they want to start investing in investment properties. This allocation of remaining dollars form is where you're going to put that stuff. So let's say, and I just actually had a conversation about bonuses, so it's pretty cool. We're going to finish this conversation today, right here. So in this part, you put under description, you would put administrative bonuses. If you're doing it monthly, quarterly, or yearly. Okay, so you would add in the amount if it's a monthly amount, and you would continuously tally it up for the year. So let's say I'm just giving a number. If anyone's getting this a month, that's great. Ask for more. $200. Let's say your monthly bonus is $200. So what would that be the entire year?
Okay.
Right? So that's what that looks like. Or if it's just a yearly thing, you just pop it in the yearly slot. If they're looking to do investments, this is outside the normal stuff that we don't really do much into the budget. If it's investment properties, so, or our RESPs, whatever that looks like. So you would put in the description, RESP, how much they want to delegate monthly, if it's $60, $100, and then to the year. And then at the very bottom, what that's saying is this is where they're building your life worth living and their life worth living. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you've got your income and expenses documented, and there is, and we're 40% projection to what the MRE budget says. So we have that $1 million. 40% of that $1 million is going to stay with the company. And what do we, or sorry, 60% will stay with the company. And that other 40%, we can put it into this remaining dollars form. So we're still creating revenue. If it is RESPs, if it is bonuses, then we're taking care of everybody. So or vacations, new car, all that stuff would go into this. Okay. So I just want to share that because I don't think a lot of people have seen this form or use it. You technically have to use this form once. Okay. Does anyone have any questions so far?
I'm assuming that when you're applying, like when you're working with a team, that this still only applies to like the Rainmaker main agent, right? Like it's not going to apply to every agent on the team to their own personnel.
This one won't know,
Yeah.
because the budget that you're going to set up for the team has to start somewhere, and it's always going to start with the Rainmaker, because they're the ones that are like, they are the income and expenses, right? And then inside the income, then it's the breakdown of the team. So the money that they get, so if it's a 50-50 split, that 50% that comes to the team, that's in the allocation form. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're going to jump back up because I know this is a big thing with everybody, so I want to make sure we talk about this. If we jump back up to business expenses yearly amounts. So again, we're going to forget about the percentage, which is 12%, 9%, whatever that looks like, for a minute, and talk a little bit about what each category is. Okay, so, and this is, you have to know this stuff in order to be able to have a conversation with the accountant around the profit and loss and your Rainmaker. I'm going to sneeze, so it's not going to be pretty. I held it in. So staff salaries. So you have two options here, and we're going to talk about the gray area in between too, because I know a lot of us want to know about that, and it's okay because your Rainmakers probably wondering these same questions as well. So staff salaries is exactly what you pay them. Okay, so that goes in there. We have a payroll
Before
company.
deductions or after deduction?
Well, it all depends on how you're processing payroll. So are you processing payroll yourself, Tammy? For
No.
you? Okay, so you have a payroll company?
Correct.
Perfect. We put all of our expenses. We have a payroll company as well. So it's the total cost, because in that total cost as well is the money you pay the government, right?
Right.
All
Right.
that stuff too. So that has to be documented under payroll. So we know that even though, let's say payroll was 30,000, I'm throwing out random numbers, 30,000, and then the government saw like 3,000 of that. Underneath in the category in QuickBooks, it would say 30,000 salaries, and then government payout, what we paid to the government to run payroll.
Oh.
And then our payroll company fees as well goes in there.
Okay.
So total cost for payroll is all the money we spend on payroll.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you guys a question or share with you guys on bonuses. I'm sure all of us get bonuses, right? Okay. So, and if you don't, we're going to have a conversation outside of this webinar on how you're going to get bonuses. And if there's any agents here that don't have an admin, plan and project to have a bonus in place for when you do bring that first hire on. Okay. That's important. So with the bonuses, we pay them out in our payroll. We keep things very clean and straight cut because we never want the government to come back, and we're running a business. So you gotta follow those guidelines. So our bonuses structures are twice a year because we do have a full-time, like we have a full admin team. So there's 4 or 5 of us. So in order for us to run a sustainable business, we also have to make sure that we're protecting the budget and protecting bonuses as well. So bonuses are paid out twice a year, November and June. We decide November 1st and June 1st what those bonuses are, and they're paid out on the 15th of that month. Okay, so that's just a little inside there on how to handle bonus, because that's another question I get asked quite often. It gets documented in staff salaries. And then there's this other gray area, and I don't know if a lot of the teams do this or not, where you do referral fee. So anyone who brings a listing to the team, they get a fee back. We don't put that inside bonuses. We don't document it. And the reason for that is let's say you close a deal or you bring a listing to the team and you get $250 for every deal that you bring to the team. Okay. By the time that goes through payroll, because we were doing it and we realized it's not worth it for those people. It kind of was a deterrent. So if we were doing 250, by the time it went through taxes, we're averaging about 174, which is still good, which is still a great amount. However, why keep bringing deals to the team outside of because you love the team, if when the agents get full commission? So what we've done is we've started to take it out of Chris's personal side. And I'm sharing this with you guys as a tip for you guys to go back with your Mega if they're ever struggling. We had this conversation openly with our accountant first. What does this look like? How can we handle this? So what we do is we pay it out separately. Now our accountant has suggested gift cards as a way, like a Visa, prepaid Visa, or whatever that looks like. And you do it monthly, not just every time the deal closes. So say you have 3 deals you brought to the team and they all closed in the same month. Those 3 deals would be paid out at the same time via whatever method it is. So what we've done is Chris actually just goes to his bank account, withdraws it, and then pays cash. So that way it's the full amount. It's coming out of his personal side, which is kept strictly away from the business. So it's easy for him to say, oh no, that was just my spending money. Does that make sense? So one of the things with the budget as well is we have 3 separate P&Ls. So we have Chris, like our personal stuff, Chris's personal stuff, which I do at a very low level because we really don't have a lot to do with that. The team. And then what we've done is, and then our investment ones. So that I'm going to leave out of this webinar as well. We can do that if anyone's with investors. So one of the things that we had to do, and I'm getting into a little deeper than I wanted to this early, but we opened up a management company. It's called Sienna Management. And the reason why we opened that up is because we couldn't incorporate at the time. As we all know, as agents, you can't incorporate. So this is our way of not having to pay the government a huge amount every year at tax season. So all that company is an expense account, to be quite honest with you. We funnel all of our expenses through there and we pay it a management fee. That's how so all of the commissions that come in, we delegate a set amount of commissions to go into the management company, and it keeps our taxes low. So I won't go into any more detail. That's like a whole other conversation in itself. So if anyone has any questions, we can have that one outside of the webinar if anyone's curious about that, okay? And anyone who has multiple properties or multiple QuickBooks accounts or investments, things like that, that's definitely a conversation we can have outside of this. So one of the things is for lead gen, sorry, that's the next category, lead gen. Does anyone have any ideas what we should be putting in there for lead gen?
Advertising?
Okay, so what form of advertising is considered lead gen for you?
Facebook ads, Google ads, like Google Word ads.
Yeah. Okay, that's one category yet.
Like Mojo and the auto dialers.
Yeah, that's definitely your lead gen, your Mojo.
Mhm.
Does anyone have a database that also does SEO or like pay-per-click? Your pay-per-click part of that CRM should be in your lead gen.
Okay.
You're paying people to click, and then you're calling them up. It's almost like a form of cold calling, to be honest. Do you guys put your door knocking under lead gen?
Yeah.
Because that one's always a struggle. People aren't really sure if that's marketing because you have to pay for the flyers.
Yeah.
And then you go out and you door knock, right? So did anyone do monthly mailouts?
Mhm.
Okay, so would that be marketing or lead gen?
I think I have mine under marketing.
Perfect. That's a tricky one too. I get asked that a lot of time, the monthly mailouts, because we're lead genning for like for business, but it's marketing that's doing it for us. So you're right, it's marketing. Now, Facebook ads, I would put that under marketing, only because Facebook is a form of marketing for the team. Anything else that you guys can think of for lead gen?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So Mojo, definitely. That is definitely the lead gen. Occupancy, pretty straightforward. That's your rent, right? Or if you own the business, the mortgage amount. Supplies, this one's a big one, guys. Like you could put, so here's what we do. So when we don't have a spot for things like, well, to be honest with you, I'm going to tell you where I dropped the ball a year ago, was we have carpets delivered every 2 weeks to our building. Like a carpet company comes in and lays down like the mats, for like the winter and whatnot. I forgot to put them in the P&L, and that's like $132 every 2 weeks or once a month. So it's like, where the heck do I put it? I popped it right under supplies, office supplies, because I really didn't know what category to put that in. And so that's when I realized we have office supplies now and office maintenance. So I learned a lesson. Maybe write that down as a little lesson for you guys. Office supplies and office maintenance are now another category. Together combined, I tally them up together to get that percentage, if that makes sense. But I leave them as two separate things in the moment. Equipment. What do you guys document for equipment? For those of you that do it.
Mine's any new computers or any videography stuff that we need. They just purchased a tripod for their videos, things like that.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Does anyone have internet phones in their office? Or headsets or anything like that? All that stuff is under technology. That was a pretty straightforward. And we put under technology, I also put the phone lines, the internet. I put that in there. Tech and communications, I know that's on the list. You guys can change that category for whatever you want it to be. For me,
So
I've
where
marked
would you
my
put cell phone expenses?
Equipment. So yeah, so let's take that. So under equipment, you can have a subcategory. So what is when you're doing your P&L is when you're doing like your office supplies. Like I said, I have office supplies, subcategory, office maintenance. We have a guy that comes in and once a month he comes in and just does things like change light bulbs. He's just an ornament. He's lovely and just needs something to do. So we pay him a monthly fee. We put that under office maintenance. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's a subcategory of the main category. So under equipment, you could put cell phone supplies, all of that stuff. To be honest, we don't have a lot of tech and communication bills, like expenses. So I take that and I put marketing. So let's talk about marketing because that's a big one.
Sorry, Val, can I ask, what about your database? Where does that get categorized if it's not under tech and communication?
We put it under lead gen.
Your database?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So our database is big. So we use Commission Bank, which is a database. It's a CRM. It's a web page. It's pay-per-click. It's massive, the things that it does. We use that when we do our cold call. So our Mojo integrates with it. So they're together. So whenever we use Mojo, it simply pushes all of our information into our database.
Okay.
So for us, we use that for our database. We do pay-per-clicks with it. It's where we do our landing pages. It's our huge form of lead gen for us. And we have a triple dialer inside of Commissions Inc. that'll go through and pound out calls too. So before we used to put it under office supplies because it was a small scale that just kind of fit the budget. And here's the other thing too, you can move your items around. So, well, not all of them. So don't tell your Rainmaker I shared this with you either. Sometimes under supplies and things like that, you can take them and add them under categories to balance out your percentages to keep on track. So if you're held at an extreme accountability, like a high level accountability for where your expenses are, and you sit down, you have your 15th protocol, which we'll talk about later. Let's say for instance, education and coaching. So let's say we were maxed out on our coaching and training and whatever that looks like. I would take some of our training stuff, which would be anything that gave us a book or a handout. I would take that and put that under supplies. So let's say like career visioning that's coming up because it's only $299 and you get a book with it. I'd pop that under supplies. Probably not the smartest thing to do, but when I need to balance my budget one month, I'm going to do it. But like I said, don't share that with too many people. Probably not the best thing to teach you guys. So under marketing, guys, what would you guys think is a really good list of things to put in marketing?
So is that brochures and flyers?
Yeah. Let's say you're holding events. Would you put your events underneath there?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do like a subcategory. So you could have your marketing and then the subcategory. So we do Canada Day every year. So underneath marketing, we have a category that's just Canada Day. We have another category for movies. And then what that does is in our QuickBooks is I can go back and look and see how much Canada Day cost us in 2019, how much it cost us in 2018, how much it cost us in 2017. So the subcategories are also pretty important too, okay? And then under education and coaching.
Webinars.
Yes, absolutely. Webinars, coaching, any kind of training that you do. So what we also do is, and here's actually a good thing too, and an accountant will vouch for this because they're the ones who told us to do this, trips. So when Chris goes on trips, we put that under education.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know why? Because he goes and gets a business card from a local KW office, wherever he is.
Oh,
And it becomes a nice write-off.
Education and training. He
okay.
just had to fly to Maui for it. Or Bora Bora.
Oh.
So because someone said it, it's a write-off.
Yep.
So Amber actually asked an amazing question. Do you do rollovers from 1 month if you didn't spend your whole budget to allow for the next month? That's an amazing question. And I don't. So let's say my budget for marketing is like 500. I'm just throwing out a random number and we only spend 250. My God, we're in the green that month for marketing. I take it and go with it. Now at the end of the year, what we do is whatever money is left over in each category. So this is just starting this year too. So we just decided. So whatever money we have budgeted up and our team hits their goal, we're all going to do spouses and teammates going to Mexico. So I don't take that stuff and spend it because I really want to go to Mexico. So we're going to keep it throughout. Now, because that is such an amazing question and you know what, I very rarely get asked that. You guys can. So let's say, you have a Canada Day event coming up and all month or all year long, your marketing budget has been under. Maybe you could treat yourselves to something extra on that Canada Day event. Or if you keep that budget under each month for that big event coming up. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Did that answer your question, Amber? I hope so. So you can absolutely roll that over into your next month, or you can save it. Plan for, so yes, for sure. Plan for a trip to not spend money. That's right. And we're just doing it on a big scale because we're going to take the entire team. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be a mess. Yeah, so you can, or you don't have to. So if there's ever money left over in the budget, I tend to bank it. Because if we ever have a bad month, then we're prepared, right? And again, we can move that budget to somewhere else if we need to, such as payroll, bonuses. So under marketing as well, outside of events, I know we just jumped from marketing to education. I don't think we've really fully finished marketing. Just making sure that door knockers, mail outs, events, say you got t-shirts done for the team, where would that go under?
Marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing.
Yep. Yeah. And let's say business cards.
Marketing.
Yeah. I know some people are torn because some people put it under business supplies as well. I'm not sure why, but it's definitely marketing. It's also a form of lead gen too. So it's one of those things where it's like, you could pop that in any category, but it should be in marketing. Education and training. So we talked about that a little bit. So yes, whenever we do education and coaching is a big one for us. So education, training, and coaching. So whenever we do training events, whenever we go to things like family reunion is going to go under training for us. And then it's a category in itself. So we'll break down our training events. So we're also doing another training next month for a company outside of, or it's actually for our database. We'll label it as sync training. So we know where we've allocated all that money to. Same with family reunion, it'll be its own subcategory. So that way we know how much we actually spend each time we go away on what things. Amber just asked another really good question. What about open house supplies, feature sheets, new buyer packages? Would that be marketing? Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. Folders. So this is the other thing too. I don't have a folder in front of me, but our team does those. I'm sure we all have them. Some might use the KW ones, but we have our own Knight Real Estate Advisor ones. A lot of people have been putting those under office supplies, which is okay, as long as you know it's there, but it really should be under marketing. Any marketing material you do for your open houses, such as your open house flyers, your feature sheets, all that stuff is marketing. And then auto and insurance. This is a very small one for us because we didn't have up until 2 years ago any kind of auto or insurance, but now we have that big truck for our open houses. So that's a pretty straightforward one, right? We put our building insurance in there, any insurance that we carry. Let me ask you this, licenses and your RAB fees, all that fun stuff, where would you put that under? What's that?
I don't know where mine's sitting.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. It'll go under education and training and coaching. And you can change that category to be tailored to your team. It doesn't have to say education, coaching. Ours says training, education, and coaching.
So you could have a subcategory that fees, so that all the breakdowns from the fees from the commissions that come off from KU, everything can go in that.
Yep. If I had a shared screen, it just didn't, for some reason, it just didn't set up properly. But what I can do is I can show you guys how that looks in QuickBooks, like a subcategory in it. So for us, it'll say RAB dues, or it'll say KW fees. So, okay, I can share that just so you can see how the subcategories work. Any questions so far? I feel like we've got a really good pace going here, but I want to make sure. Macy, did you just sneeze?
Yeah, I muted myself though.
Bless you. Thank you. I saw that. So now one of the other things that you guys need to do, if we don't have any questions with that, Shannon, do you want me to kiss your ring? What are you doing?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. The screen shifted on me. I'm just trying to bring you back.
Oh,
sorry.
It's okay. I was like, I'm not kissing your ring.
So the screen shifted and I lost you.
So now we're going to go back up to the listings form. Oh, hit it.
I just remembered, what about client gifts? Like closing gifts?
I like it. Where do you think that should go?
marketing.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone else? Geraldine says marketing as well. You can put it under marketing. If you're going to like do personalized wine bottles, things like that, you can throw it under marketing because you're putting your face on it. You've got the team branding on it. Absolutely, you can.
Okay.
I put it under office supplies, but again, I choose to put it under office supplies because it's a big expense and marketing is a huge expense for us as well. And what I do is I have a subcategory in office supplies for closing gifts.
Oh, so you could put it in either or.
You can. And if I'm buying bulk, like let's say I'm buying bulk wine bottles, that's not really marketing. Trust me, on Fridays it can be an office supply.
So gift cards for clients would also go under your subcategory under gifts.
Yes, yeah. And make sure you label that gift cards and not, if it is gift cards, just for the accounting purposes, because gift cards can always be tricky because a lot of times the government thinks that that's your gimmick to get out of cash. So gift cards, and then making sure like you keep those receipts on hand. Okay. That's a tricky one. The gift cards are always, sometimes can be a red flag in our industry because we buy so many of them.
Okay.
And the accountants will be the first people to tell you if you have gift cards, or if you choose to do gift cards, that's fine, or just take cash out of your personal accounts. That's where we go back to that paying cash bonuses rather than a gift card. So just be careful how you, just make sure you keep your receipts. That's really what it boils down to. Okay. So is there any questions so far on those categories, or did we forget anything?
Where do sponsorships go? Like if you sponsor a team or?
Great question. We put that under marketing.
Okay.
So when we do sponsorship, our name's going on the back of a jersey, or it's going on a piece of marketing in an arena, and or on a water bottle, whatever that looks like. So that's branding and marketing. Here's the thing. Let me ask you guys this. How many teams now, or how many of us do sponsorships?
I do a couple.
Okay. Anybody else? Or thinking about getting into that? Or being asked to do it, but you haven't really had it in the budget? Okay. So with that, guys, let's talk about that for a minute, actually, because we probably won't get to that outside of the next few weeks. So sponsorship can be tricky. At the very beginning of the year, we're very active in sponsorship and running events and things like that. And we always do a lot of sponsorship for people. Have a budget in place. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a guideline. To sponsor a young child's hockey team, I know this from experience, is $250 minimum. So it's $250 to $500. If you're putting your signs on a stadium or like on a, at the, what do you call it? The arena, that can be anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. I don't know if a lot of you people are being approached by like CHCH to do commercials and stuff like that. That's anywhere from 10 to 30, right? So what I'm saying is that we have a budget of $500 a year for sponsorship. We maxed it out because if we don't have that budget in place, Chris will be sponsoring every single sports team and every single person that asks him. I don't even let him sponsor my son anymore. I have 3 kids, so first of all, it's not fair. And second of all, he can't do that just because I work for him. He can't do that. So I personally will go and sponsor our team, whatever, or like my son's team or whatever. So have a budget in place for sponsorship for anybody who is actively sponsoring teams, and stick to it, because you can blow that budget right out of the water, guys, and not even realize it. And then having that conversation at your year-end budget review every year. And this is, I'm telling you from a really bad experience. So for years, Chris would sponsor someone's soccer team, someone's hockey team, this, and this. And I mean, I think my first year with him, he had $2,000 in sponsorship, which isn't a lot. But if we let him do that again the next year, those people will come back the next year. So I kind of took my experience from the bank when I worked in the sponsorship field there. And I said, this is what we do. We write them a note for anyone who asks for sponsorship. We write them a note back saying, thank you. We've actually filled all of our spots that we're doing sponsorship for this year. If you want to be on our wait list, send me your contact information. I'm going to put you in our database. And to keep you on top of mind and me on top of mind, you're probably going to get this email, a monthly newsletter from us, which is all fantastic. And just let you know, if we sponsor your kid, we'll put that in our newsletter that we're sponsoring that team. Share your wins and losses. So not only Are we saying no? We're saying, here's what we're going to do for you in return, which sounds great, but it's really just a bunch of emails. And we've added them into the database. We've got their permission. And in our database, we label it as sponsorship in one of our tags for our category. So it's kind of like we're building that rapport with them for real estate, but we're not really talking about real estate at the beginning. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So just something to think about. You're always building that community relationship. Okay. So that's sponsorship. Just please promise me you'll put a budget in place for that if anyone right now is active in the community. Okay. So that's that. Now we're going to jump back up to, unless anyone has any questions around that. Yeah, go ahead. Jen.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Ryan has a ton of meals that he gives me when he eats out.
Okay. So one of the categories, and it's not here because I do keep that under the personal side for Chris as well. So
Okay.
it goes under meals and entertainment.
Okay.
Have that category. So that's where I have it on Chris's personal side. If we do team events,
Yeah.
we put that under education and training. And what we do as a subcategory is meals and entertainment for the team. So that's actually a really good one that I completely forgot about. So good job, Tammy, on that one. And then if we do luncheons, if we do Christmas parties, anything like that, it goes under that category.
Okay. But his actual day-to-day meals go under meals and entertainment.
Meals and entertainment on his personal QuickBooks. Okay. Now, if it's just you and your agent, then that would just be the one meals and entertainment would be just your category. But when you have a team, that's kind of where that second QuickBooks come in. I haven't lost anybody, have I? We're all still good.
Mhm.
Okay. And we only have 20 minutes left, guys. Okay. So we've got the idea of what we need in terms of how much things cost. We've talked about where we can find that stuff. Does anyone feel it'll be a challenge getting that information, the bank accounts and the credit cards? And it's okay if that is a challenge for you guys. But I'll help you guys afterwards if you want to figure out how we can get you guys up and running on that, okay? So now we're going to jump up to the listings needed form. And I share this often with a lot of people that I do coaching with because, my God, this was an eye-opener for me when I did it. So we've established how much we spend monthly, right? We've talked about where to find our expenses from our bank accounts and our credit cards. Okay, now we need to figure out our income to really be able to dabble into, and it's very simple. Our income comes from commission. That's fine. But now we got to figure out how much money we're making. So the listings needed form, you can do this for listings needed or for a total. It doesn't matter. We won't go through this in depth just for the sake of time. And it's pretty straightforward. Below the actual graph is the example on how you get that number. So let's say the number of closed transactions you choose to reach this goal, your goal in 1 year is 100. Some of you it might be 80, some it could be on a higher scale. You would put what your number of closed transactions you want to reach this year. And then you're going to work backwards. At the very bottom, number 10, it says numbers of listings you must carry at all times to make that goal. Sometimes it'll say 5, it could say 10. If your goal is bigger, it'll tell you need to carry 20 listings at all time. Okay? I'm going to leave that for you guys to do on your own. You can do it as many times as you want. You can do it for every agent on your team if you choose to. Okay? Now, what this is going to do is it's going to tell you how many listings you need to carry at all times, obviously. So now let's do this. So we've established the expenses. And I think I might have documented this a little bit farther down. All right, I'm just gonna see if I can find it. Okay, so the fundamentals, the GCI, the cost of sales, the operating expenses. It's a little bit farther down, guys.
Page 12.
Of course, you would know the page number.
It says it on my screen.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
I put page number.
So I'm trying to find it all.
Oh, no, Tammy, no worries. It's going to be page 12. You're right. And no worries because it's just a brief little outline. So let's say, do you guys on your teams track GCI or units?
Both.
Both.
Oh, okay. So when you're making your ultimate goal, do you say, this is my GCI for the year? And then you figure out this is how many units I got to have. This is how many appointments. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So what's your unit? What's everyone's unit number?
180.
180. Okay, we're going to work with 180. I know I didn't tell you guys to bring a calculator. I'm going to do the adding and subtracting right now. Well, I think it's division. Okay. Units, 180. Average commission
2.25.
in dollars,
11,250.
11,250. Okay. So with 180 units at 11,250, Cam's going to make 2,250,000 or 25,000, right?
Yep.
That's his GCI goal.
Yep.
Perfect. Here's where we get into the fun stuff. It's not really the fun stuff. It's a lot of math stuff, but we say it's fun, so it is fun. And anyone here who loves numbers and math, then amazing. Super proud of you guys. Honestly, side note, I choose to do accounting on Thursdays because it's my favorite day of the week. So it's kind of like that eat the frog thing where it's like you do your boring stuff during your most productive time, which is like the morning. Thursday is like one full morning to me. I don't know why, but I love Thursdays more than life itself. So I do all of the boring stuff on Thursday. So just if there's something that gets you through the day, go for it, guys. Thursday's my day. Ask anyone here, they know like, oh God, Val's going to be like way up here on Thursday. And I am. It's fun. Okay. So now your GCI is 2 million. Let's subtract 40% from that. That's a million.
Why do 40%?
I do 40% because what we want to take from that million is 40% is going to be put into the team, right?
Okay.
So that 40% is your operating costs, all that kind of fun stuff. So which is 1.215. So 225. Subtract 1,215, 1, 2, 3. Is $810,000 Cam is projected to actually net himself this year. So what we need to do is if his goal is to net 2,025,000, you're going to have to up your unit goal. But for the sake of having an income and expense report, now what you do is every single month when you have your P&L and in QuickBooks, it'll spit out, and sorry guys, I don't have that in front of me. We'll definitely have that for you guys next week. Your income and expenses at the very bottom. So it'll tell you all your income for that month, what came in, what your expense was after all of those categories were taken care of. And then you can see, like, let's say that 1 month it was only 20,000 net profit. So you would take that goal of 2,025, 1, 2, 3, subtract 20,000, which is so weak. So he's $2 million still away. Do you see what I'm saying? Every month, you're going to take that big goal and you're going to subtract where you're sitting so you know how much closer you are to it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
But you can't do any of this if you're not tracking the P&L. So any questions so far on that?
So the monthly goal that you're taking out from, so, sorry, I'm thinking
That's
and
okay.
thinking at the same time. So in order
Yeah,
to
do
get
it.
that number, you're taking the goal and you're subtracting the income and the expenses from that number. Is that correct?
So I just subtracted 40%. Now, mind you, if you guys are doing your operating expenses higher, that's okay. 40% is pretty much tailored to the MREA model, which is kind of changing as we go right now. So what I did is I took what he wants to make, total ECI,
Yep.
subtract 40% from that,
Yep.
which was the 1,215.
Yep.
The rest of that money,
At 810.
that 810 is going to, for you, be to Ryan. The 1.21, which is the 40%, is
Yep.
the team's to function the team.
Okay.
Okay. This is just a really fast way to get you guys to see your end game and how important it is to know monthly where you sit for income and how close Cam and Ryan is to that every single month. So so it's honestly, people who do this, here's one thing you guys might not know about me. I will find the easiest math solution to rock my world to make this absolutely easy for me. Chris has 1,000 things going on, so I need to find how I connect the P&L. So I'm like, this is our end game. So if my end game is 2 million and every single month we're rocking out 100,000 here, 100,000 there, at the 6 month mark, if we're not 50% to that 2 million, man, we are revamping our entire thing. And if you're having conversations monthly, you're creating a trend. So if you're able to see this month we only did this month we only did this, now I'm going to go into my P&L and I'm going to figure out why. Where am I spending money that's not coming back to me? Because if you look in your notes here, one of the things I say is that for every investment you make into the business, it needs to come back to you. And it should come back twofold, never one-fold, because then that's just match for match. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So one thing we will take away from here is I will teach you the easiest way to run a P&L. And for all of you people who are way far more advanced in that stuff than I am in math and whatnot, amazing, super impressed, probably going to knock my socks off. But I will definitely make this the easiest process for you so you can have the most difficult conversations when it comes time. I'll promise you that. I will make it easy because I make it easy for myself every day. Okay, so a couple things before we get off the phone. So how to set it all up. So the Emory budget model says, and we talked about it briefly, and I hope I'm not jumping around for everybody, 30% cost of sales. What is cost of sales? And this is something next week we're also going to dabble in a little bit more, is going more deeper into each category. Does anyone know what the cost of sales is?
On my side, it would be what we're paying out the buyer agents.
That's exactly what it is. Your cost for your buyer agent, your listing agent. Okay. So that would be what the percentage is that they're getting on your deals. That's what the cost of sales is. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more next week for anybody who has agents and you want to show your agents how they can run their budget within your budget. Okay. Without really dabbling into their personal budget. So 30% cost of sales, 30% expenses, and 40% net income. Okay. Single agent is 30-70, which is pretty self-explanatory, which is if you have an admin doing this as well, please give them full control over your budget and P&L. It'll make your life so much easier. And this is the little tagline. It's important when you're investing into the business, you always receive multiple of that dollar back. If you're just going dollar for dollar, guys, we're not making anything. We're just being consistently even. And nobody wants to grow a business like that. You can't grow a business like that. So before we go, does anyone have any questions? We have about 10 minutes left, so I want to make sure if there is. Good? Okay. So I would like to start with QuickBooks. Is there a way to provide a general breakdown to set it up easily and effectively for first timers, maybe even a screenshot? Yes, Amber, what I'll do right after this call is I'm going to send you a screenshot of our P&L. So QuickBooks, actually, let's start with that. Actually, let's go back to that for a minute. QuickBooks is really easy. So you could go to QuickBooks.com and there is a free version, which is your desktop version. There's a trial version, which is the full online. The benefits of doing the online QuickBooks is that you can simply give your accountant the password and then they're in it. And I don't even speak to the accountant until the 17th of every month when I want my P&L for the month before. We have a routine where he knows my categories. He knows where everything goes in. Once you get to QuickBooks, you can go in, and Amber, you guys could probably play around with this a little bit, guys. You can go in and pre-populate it so your bank accounts and your credit cards accounts for your Mega are set up. So again, I'm going to tell you how easy. I used to manually print off the credit card, sit in front of QuickBooks and type it all in, look at the credit card, type it all in, pull up the bank accounts, do the bank account things because I was so worried I was going to miss a dollar. So QuickBooks now integrates with your credit cards and your bank statements. So it pre-populates everything for you and pushes it into the categories needed. Pushes it right into the categories needed. Like rent, my accountant goes in there and he's like, rent, done, done, done. I print off my report. Chris and I have a conversation about it. We're good. So if you guys can take a few minutes to play around with QuickBooks, maybe sign up for an account, do the free trial, play around with it. I highly suggest QuickBooks over Excel. Excel is something you could easily do within the team. Amazing. But when it comes time for your account and sharing the Excel, the minute they start playing around with an Excel sheet, maybe it's just because I don't do Excel very well, it messes up the formulas, it's called. And I feel like it's not QuickBooks is simply categorized for you. You can tailor it to fit just like the MREA if you want, or you can have your accountant do all the subcategories in there for you. It takes a little bit of time, but they can do that. And because we're still in January or February, think about how amazing it would be if you could set up QuickBooks now.
Do you know how
So
long?
Amber, after the call,
Is
sorry,
it
say
like-
that again.
Is it a 3-month trial, or do you know how long it is?
I think it's like I think it's like 14 days, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Do you use QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop?
I used to use QuickBooks Desktop. I still do, but I have it connected to online as well. So the accountant. So my desktop version is still intact,
Right.
where my accountant doesn't have access to it, and I play around with it a little bit in there. But my online version is for myself and my accountant and Chris and anybody else who needs to be part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a program that you can scan the receipts right then and
Oh,
there.
yes. So that app is, let me see what it's called. So how you would use that, it's called Receipt Bank. So Receipt Bank, and I'm going to see if I can show you how that looks. So basically what it does is, so it's got our account name. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's got our account name. So I would click on this. We're Keller Williams to our accountant. We're the only Keller Williams agent he has. And it talks about the category. I would simply click on the category and say it's going to be a donation or an employee advance. Like, this is so amazing. Or like a Best Buy receipt. Let's say I'm at Best Buy and I need to get that right into my P&L. It's the end of the month and I need to get that documented. I simply scan it and it goes right to QuickBooks. So for instance, I scan all of Chris's quarterly commissions. I do one quick screenshot and send it to my accountant, so he has that.
What's that called? Sorry.
It's called Receipt Bank, and it's integrated with QuickBooks, guys. It's incredible. And I don't have to worry about the end of the year if I haven't got a receipt. If I've taken the photo of it, it's right in there. So not only does it hold the receipt, it sends it right to the accountant.
Oh.
Yeah, like game changer. Again, easy thing. So, but I can send out a screenshot of a P&L for you guys. That's not a problem at all. It doesn't look as pretty when you print it off because it doesn't have all the nice little background that QuickBooks has. It just looks like a simple sheet full of lines. So I can send you guys a screenshot of that afterwards, or I can scan one through for you guys. Okay, would that work for you, Amber?
Did you take a course on QuickBooks to know how to use it, or what did you do?
No, I made a lot of mistakes, and I eventually went to Chris's accountant with like, just tell me, how do I make this easier for myself? I played around with QuickBooks when we first started. I'm nowhere near accountant. I've never touched books. All I've done is my husband's books. That's it. So I did the free version of QuickBooks and I played around with it. I added our stuff in there. I created my own subcategories, kind of like what I wanted to do. When I did get to the accountant was actually pretty cool about it. He's like, you've done all the right things. It's just you've never reconciled your books. And reconcile is what you do monthly to make sure your dollars and cents. I didn't know. So we went a whole year with no reconciled books, which was fine. It wasn't fine. I was being sarcastic there. And they end up doing it for us. So playing around with it is key. Just one more question. So CRA now accepts scanned copies of receipts. I hear conflicting info about that. So what we do is for the CRA, our accountant files our CA for us. So that's how we our CRA. That's how we avoid that. All I do is simply pay it. So our accountant, if we send everything over, he goes right in, files our CRA stuff for us, our HST and our yearly taxes. It does cost a little bit more than it would if you did all the work yourself. As someone touching someone else's money and it's significant dollars, I would give that liability right to an accountant. To be quite honest, it's just not something that I'm prepared to make a mistake about. So when you say they accept scanned copies of receipts, I'm going to have to go with, if that system is that receipt bait works, then it's got to have some kind of issue in place or something in place to protect us in that sense. Kind of like DocuSign at one point when we couldn't do DocuSign signatures, and now we can. Some places will only accept DocuSign, not .loop. So this is kind of like that. They'll accept receipt bank scans, but I would check with your accountant, Amber, just for validation on that though, because our accountant does all that for us. And I keep the receipts on file, but as we all know, accountants are, when we file, they never come and ask to see those receipts. They do that when there's an assessment of sorts or an audit. So I'll always keep the receipts. I don't throw them away. It just means I don't have to go searching for them now if we miss a receipt, because I scan them all. Okay. What else is there?
Val, I gotta get off the call. I'm being kicked out of my room and we have another appointment going on next.
Is that Cam kicking you out?
No, but the boardroom's just booked. And our team meet is, I had to move our team meet and everybody graciously moved it for me so I could do this. So it has to start or else we won't keep the rest of the schedule today.
Okay. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Thank you. Have a
You're
good
on.
week, guys. We'll see you next
Bye.
week.
See you later. We've got 1 minute and I just want to make sure, is everyone good? Is any extra questions? Have we missed anything?
No, that was good.
Nope. Okay. So just before we go, there's a couple things here. I want us to always remember, there's never a wrong answer when we're talking about this together, guys. The next 4 weeks is going to be us moving together. There's things that I'm probably, and I hope I learn from you guys, because there could be things that you guys are doing that I don't. There could be things that if you haven't started a P&L, that you probably are far more ahead of it than you actually think you are, but it's terrifying and we're intimidated because it's not our money. And I get that. Right? So not only will I teach you the easiest way, but I'll always speak to you guys in that sort of sense too, because I always, whenever I do the P&L, whenever I talk about the big bucks, it terrifies me because it's somebody else's money. So if you care that much, you won't make mistakes. So it's okay. So one of the things I said here is go back to the QuickBooks, is the online version can be shared with the accountant, which is amazing. The app that scans for your big receipts, so you don't need to send to the account afterwards. And the cost is actually minimal. For QuickBooks Online to pre-populate and go with our accountant is $70. However, what a good accountant will tell you that they have an account with QuickBooks and they can lower your cost to $20 a month.
Oh.
So go to your accountant and say, do you have a relationship with QuickBooks? Because our accountant, he's a very top accountant in Oakville. So he has multiple clients. So he was able to get our $70 down to $20. Okay, so we pay $70 or $20 a month for QuickBooks. So it's a question you'd have to ask your accountant. If you don't have an accountant, then you'll probably stick with the $70 for sure, which is still, I'm gonna be quite honest, it's an expense to have, probably the best expense. Okay, because at the $70 you have max everything, so you can use the P&L at a high level with it. Okay, and the online version with your accountant.
Do you have access to the bank account? Like, does Chris have a bank account just for the business and a personal bank account?
Yes. Yeah.
So what access do you have to
all of it?
One? Oh, to his personal one as well?
To the personal one. I don't want to have access to the personal one. Now that we have this business fully functioning and running as a business, I want to stick to just his business because I really don't do anything for the personal. Okay. However, the way that we've delegated the income and expenses and whatnot, so the income goes into his personal account. I move it over to a management fund.
Oh, right.
And the management fund funnels the expenses.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more detailed.
That's why you have to have access to the personal account.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And when the first year I was with Chris, because it was just him and I and a couple other people, he only had his personal account.
Okay.
So we slowly, as we build, so I've been there every step of the way. I've been the two of us. I've been to like the three of us, and I've been to where we're going. Yeah. And if I can give you guys any advice when you're planning anything, whether it's the P&L or any system you're going to plan, and you're planning it out, and it's just you and your team leader, or if it's just you and 2 other people, plan like there's 10. Plan your system to accommodate 10 people, not 2. So that way, when you're ready to grow, you've already got a plan in place that's going to accommodate a larger amount of people than just the 2 of you. If you're at it where you have, so right now we have a team of 14. Any systems, anything that we're putting in place, we're planning it for a team of 20. It's got to accomplish, so that way my gap is fully full. Does that make sense? It's a big way of thinking, guys. Stop planning for just you and the people that are on your team, and plan a little bit, plan your systems out a little bit bigger. Okay. And then one of the things about QuickBooks too, Amber, and hopefully, how much roughly should an accountant charge to do it the way you have it set up? Okay. So that's a good question too. We pay way too much for our accountant. And the reason why we do that is because he's a client and a friend of Chris's, and Chris is very generous with his friends and family. So we do pay our accountant a little bit more than we should. And I've had this conversation with them multiple times. So I'm going to give you a rough estimate from what I experienced. So to do quarterly books for HST, we're looking at anywhere from $500 to $1,500, depending on how many individual things you have within your business. So he files taxes for 3 of our companies, and we pay $500 to $1,500. To do income taxes at the end of the year for all of our businesses, it's $2,800. So you could do monthly accounting fees, or you could do quarterly, or you can do one yearly fund. Does that make sense? So just to give you an idea, so right now though, that $500 to $1,500 covers all of my silly questions that I ask daily. When I was first building it, oh my gosh, I meet with our accountant once a month before I meet with Chris to do our 15th protocol, just to make sure oh my God, a notification just came through my headset and scared the crap out of me. Yeah, so it definitely, it can be costly. But the good news is that I can ask as many stupid questions as I want, and it's all in our fee. So if you're looking at Hamilton, I hear that the going rate for really good Hamilton or accountants around our area is $250 to $500, which gives you an indicator. All right, but our accountant does, and this is important, guys. Sometimes you can have a bookkeeper
Hi.
and an accountant. Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Is this Lisa?
Oh, so for Wednesday, your lawyer, Wednesday is closing, so lawyer will wait.
You guys hear this?
Yeah.
This is amazing. Christine.
Have been transferred. Have you spoken to him when you're coming in to sign?
Someone's going to get in trouble here in a minute.
Okay, I'll check with Joyce, but just
It was Geraldine. I figured it out, guys. We're good. Sorry, I kept you guys 6 minutes longer. So what we're going to do is we're just going to finish this up. I think I was kind of at where the accountant is, right?
Yep.
Accountant costs. I would definitely have that question with your accountant to see what their monthly charges are, or yearly or annually. I would love to say a good cost, but I know we pay way too much for our accountant. That's what I was saying, actually. So we do 2 categories. So you guys can have a bookkeeper and an accountant. I just blew my mind, just found out those are 2 separate things. I would always go to my accountant with all these questions, and I was getting mad because his answer would be like, let me just follow up and I'll check it out. And I'm like, this guy's dumb. He doesn't have my answers. And I went to Chris and I'm like, I'm not sure why we're using them. He can't answer any of my questions. So then we actually had a meeting with him last week where he's like, I'm actually not a bookkeeper. That's another segment of our department is the bookkeeper. And I'm like, oh, but why do I message you all the time? Or why do I call you? And he's like, yeah, I asked the same question too. And I'm like, so yeah. So just a little tip, they're not the same person, but your accountant does have a bookkeeping company within it, or they should. Geraldine apologizes. I'm just going to say, no worries. Did you get that deal done? Oh, she said yes. Yay. All right. So before we get off the phone, we've gone through everything that I think we needed to. I felt really strongly about the P&L expense thing that I put it in there 3 times, guys. 3 times. So we didn't get to talk about the percentages. I'm going to leave that with you because I think anyone who's read the MREA or had conversations around the budget has these numbers have been drilled in your head. Going to give you a little tidbit for anybody who is doing a P&L right now. Salary can now be 14%. So there's so many changes being made to the P&L right now and to the MREA model that one of them is actually salary, which is my favorite category to increase it by, because I use 14 now. I don't use 12% anymore. So now, do we have any questions before we get off the phone?
So next week, you're going to break down how much each should be designated, like what percentage of each category?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I'll show you, like I was saying before, you can move things around into different categories for the sake of keeping the budget intact. At the end of the day, it's the overall budget. If we're staying within that 30% or 40%, sorry, then that's amazing, right? So we can definitely do that for sure. Is there anything else that you guys would like to see next week? I know Amber actually sent me a really good question. I did see your message, Amber. Oh, does salary include bonuses, or can we speak later how to budget that for bonuses? We can definitely talk about that again next week because I know that's going to be a big thing. So what I was saying earlier is that salary and and bonuses go together in the payroll budget. It does include bonuses. Anything outside of that, like incentives, I don't put that into the P&L. I don't even put that into payroll. Okay. But if there's any questions after today's call about anything we talked about, send me an email. I do have a couple calls that I'm doing again right after this, probably till 1. So if I don't answer right away, always know that I'm not ignoring you. I just have to wait until I'm sticking to my schedule. I'm pretty proud of myself. So next week, yes, we'll talk a little bit more about those percentages and how there's changes in the MREA that aren't really documented anywhere right now. It's kind of like in the process. And then we'll talk about a little bit more about what we can do in each category. Okay. If there's anything else that we want to add to next week's call, let me know. All right. Or if anyone needs me at all for anything, let me know. Did everyone have fun talking about the P&L?
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks.
Good. All right, guys, get to work.
Hmm.
Thank you guys. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks,
Bye.
Bye.